high school, like 2005, back when CDs were in. Pop that CD in. I was at the tour. I was out there. Pretty Ricky.
You were out there, and I was the fifth member in Pretty Ricky.
Oh yeah, there's so many stories about Pretty Ricky, and it's funny because we both enjoyed Pretty Ricky before we met each other. Mine started in high school. We went to was it Scream?
Yeah, Scream Tour, Bow
Scream
Wow,
Tour.
Omarion.
Yes, you had everybody, but Pretty Ricky. So everyone was there. You had Omarion, you had Bow Wow, and for us, there was like 4 girls going, and there was also was it Lloyd?
Lloyd was a part.
No, it was Bobby Valentino. Valentino, and we all said we're gonna divvy it up and get different CDs so we knew all the songs because we knew Bow Wow and Omarion. So I was in charge of the Pretty Ricky CD. I got it and I fell in love, and I was like, well, this is now why I'm going. And the ladies were like, wait, hold on, play house? Like this it was it. And then it was also the CD you were playing on our first date.
It was. And just like the song theme, can we get a little closer, baby? Because today we're getting close to you because we are back in the building. We are back. The Rebirth of Life and Love podcast, episode 23, aka that LeBron though.
Oh, which is fitting because
aka
we have a LeBron
that Mike
segment.
Jack though, or Mike Jordan though. Not Mike Jack,
Jack.
Michael Jordan.
You think
though.
about that Drake diss.
Dang.
Kendrick.
Okay, we're back. It is episode 23, that LeBron episode.
Yes, and it's a time for us to get closer. But before we get closer, we got to talk about what's been going on in our lives.
A lot of stuff.
Because
a lot of stuff.
And I know sometimes we start with the joy, but let's start with what has been bringing you stress that was unexpected.
What has been bringing me stress that has been unexpected, I think, was, seasonal depression is real. People say that just go outside and eat red meat and go do this. And it's just, when you live in Seattle, seasonal depression is just a thing. And I think it hit me more this time because there's still a lot of PTSD from getting laid off. There's still a lot of trying to navigate this new life of stay-at-home parenthood, trying to navigate doing my own work and doing my own thing, in this new life. And so all of that stuff was happening as I'm not feeling well, as Callie's not feeling well, and just trying to navigate it all. So, I mean, I wouldn't fully say that was unexpected, but I can say anytime I had momentum generated, it came to a halt because of something.
Right? For me, I would say work. Like I've been traveling, like getting on a plane and going places to California. All my trips actually have been to California. And although some of them were really short, like one day, 24 hours literally, it just takes so much out of you to leave the family. And it's been weekend trips, it's been middle of the week. So it's just been all over the place and hard to kind of find that rhythm. And I feel like coming back from Cabo, which was so beautiful, it's just been go, go, go since. And there was this one like meme that said, it was like talking about a parent to parent, like, hey, let's get together when things calm down. And then they didn't get together for like 5 years. So it's like things never calm down. I keep looking for a moment where things are going to chill out. And now I have to realize like, what is our version of calm is not what it was prior to having 2 kids, prior to having 1.
But also, isn't it crazy how it's just like, it's gonna be a chill month. We're not gonna do nothing. We're not gonna plan nothing. And then it's like all of a sudden somebody has a fever. All of a sudden, I have to do this work trip. All of a sudden, now there's no school. All of a sudden, there's no nursing coverage. All of a sudden, so it's just
when
like
nurse quits, when we hire a new nurse.
You're constantly just going through this roundabout of emotions and things. And I feel like the thing that we've done the best at is being so flexible that we are just, whatever comes, we just take it on head on because we have no choice. But we do what's best, and the kids probably have no idea how
right?
stressful life has been, which is funny that one day they're gonna be looking back at this and be
And they're
like,
gonna be listening
wow,
like,
you went through this and this and this and this is what was happening then. It's just like,
right?
how did you make it?
I think that's one common strength that we have. We have a handful of them, but like staying composed in really tough times, as well as adapting to tough times, is something that we do well. And because of what we've been through in life as like a couple, as a parent, as parents, it's sharpened that tool for us to be like, something happens, we take that moment, we let it like take over us for a second, the emotion, and then we're like, all right, we gotta move on. We gotta keep moving because we can't let this stop all the other things we have going on. And so I just like used to take things maybe month by month, week by week. Now it's kind of like day by day. Like, I just have to stay in the day and think about what we have to do, check certain things off, and also realize like there might have been some big things I wanted to do. Like today, I really wanted to go to the park with the kids. And as the day progressed, like I went to the grocery store, did some other things. I'm like, it's just feeling forced. And Rome will be quick to be like, does it need to happen? Like, why today? And I think I've been starting to ask myself those questions when I'm starting to about to feel overwhelmed. I'm like, why does that have to happen today? Or why does that need to be on my to-do list? What happens if I don't check it off? It's okay. Life goes on. And so that is something that I've been working on.
But that's a great segue. You said things on your list. And checking off the list.
Oh.
And we are going to jump right into the tea, the juiciness of the episode. And this is about a few things.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, one of the themes I think that are important that we keep talking about, we've discussed this in 2023, and we're going to keep bringing it up in 2024, is transparency.
Yes.
Transparency in your relationship and even like communication through that transparency and where this is coming from. So through our hiatus, there was a podcast. What's the name of the podcast?
Too personal?
Too Personal with
Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks and Joy Taylor.
Yes. Yeah. There's two Taylors. Yep.
Yeah. Taylor Rooks and Joy Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some, to me, it wasn't controversial because I wholeheartedly agree. But to other people, it was extremely controversial to what they said. They were discussing the type of men that they want to date. And we're about to roll this clip so you can hear it too.
I don't want to date a man that doesn't have any female friendships.
Bingo.
I don't want to date a man who only gets input from other men and who has all women in two categories: your mother or your aunties, or someone I want to sleep with. You have to have a broader spectrum on women and their value in your life if you're going to be with me.
Only getting.
Okay. So you heard the clip. And they triggered a lot of people.
Yes.
Whenever I see stuff like this, I'm always in the comments. I'm just like, all right, what are they saying? And it's more so because there's so much like toxic on both sides. But like, really, as someone who has a lot of women friends, I found it interesting that a lot of people disagreed with this. A lot of people were like, no, okay, the comments I saw, women were saying, and these are, again, it's not my opinion, it was what the women were saying in the comments. They were saying, never. I never want my men to have that many female friends because that means that he has access to that many of his female friends. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. But I want to hear your opinion as the resident woman on the pod.
Well, it was interesting because like as they were talking about like the type of men they want to be with has to have female friends. And I never thought that was on like my checklist of like, oh, do you have female friends? So to me, it's not a red flag if we started dating and I'm like, oh, like you're only introducing me to guys. I don't think I would have thought twice of like, where the ladies at. So I think it depends on what season you're in, because if you're in your early 20s, then maybe you're insecure and yeah, you're like, no, I don't want you to have any female friends around you. But as you get older and like you're in your 30s and you lived like a good full life of when it comes to dating.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was
when it
gonna
comes
say, God.
to dating, like it's like, okay, like why haven't you like we're past the college days. Like where are the women in your life that you like go to for some advice? I will say the part where they were saying like if you don't have female friends around you, then how are you gonna know like the advice you get, how to treat me? Because I mean, it's also saying like you don't have strong men that are emotionally intelligent. So it's dissing a lot of the men to think that like you have to have female friends that think from a woman's perspective. You don't have to have female friends, but you have a mom and you have a sister. So it also to me is like, how do you treat those ladies in your life?
And they said too, again, it was just like, so let's play. Let me play Switzerland for a second because
Okay.
you said that the other day that I'm Switzerland. So on one end, with Joy and Taylor saying, I don't want you to just get all your info or whatever from
Oh,
your
your
mom and your
advice,
auntie.
everything from-
Yeah, your advice from your mom and your auntie. And they have a lot of credence in that because like those two individuals are going to be biased. Your mom is going to be biased. Most of the
True.
time, your mom is not going to tell you the truth, even if you're a piece.
Yes, she's
Even
always
if-
going to think so
yes.
highly of you, like you are her baby. So
Yes.
she's not going to tell you when you're in the wrong.
So
I hear
most
that.
most of the time, I mean, we see it in all these movies and representations. It's always the other person's fault. It's never any forced accountability on your end. And so if that's the case, that can be toxic because
Right.
it's just like, nah, it's not me. You're tripping. You need to do this. And it's just like, nah, like there needs to be some common ground. But on the other end, like you're saying, the emotional intelligence part, it's just like, so you're trying to say I can't have a platonic friendship with these people without thinking certain thoughts or taking it to a certain place it doesn't need to go. And it's just like to say that I wouldn't be able to do that with male friends, is disrespectful. But at the same time, like they're speaking off experience. And so, you can't really say anything against someone's
Right.
experience. And you and I both know cases on both sides. Like any stand that we took, we would be able to prove right on both sides because you've seen it. You've seen it growing up.
Right. I was looking for a certain comment because I feel like like you said, there's so many different sides that everyone's feeling. And someone said single women keeping each other single. Ooh. Oh. Uh-oh.
There's a lot of hate online. It's nasty. It is nasty. Social media, like the days of just posting something that you want to post or post your opinion, it is now the public forum for someone to go on there who may or may not be having a bad day, who may or may not be going through stuff in life, to come
Yeah.
and completely boo-boo on your comment and put all this stuff on there.
Well, I saw someone
But
said
that's a
like,
fair comment.
It is a fair comment, but someone also said like everything doesn't need to be a red flag, which I thought was interesting because I agree. Like that's never gonna be like you don't have female friends, so pass. That's not it. What I do see more is people don't feel comfortable when you do have female friends. So
Yeah.
that was an interesting take because they're saying, no, I want you to have female friends.
Mm-hmm.
Where mainly you're seeing, no, you have female friends? Nah. I'm gonna keep it moving.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I even had friends early on when they knew you had female friends, or like when I first started dating you, I'm looking through Facebook and I'm seeing every single profile pic is with a woman. Some of them were your cousins. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And then you started telling me who they were and what they meant to you. They were your friends. And for me, like, I couldn't come at it any kind of way because if you looked at my profile pic and when we met, I was with 5 dudes. Like, they were all my track teammates. And so, like, I always was around guys. I grew up with 2 older brothers. Like, I am someone who gets along with men. And so it was never a big deal for me when you also had female friends.
Yeah.
Or like same sex, opposite sex friends, I mean.
Yeah. And again, it couldn't be because my female friends hooked us up.
Right?
So like if there was any indication on like my character and who I am, how I operate, like they
They
all would have been able to speak to my favor because I mean they did that.
right? But I guess that goes into like why it's good for the person you're dating to have female friends. 'Cause I feel like they'll let you know some flaws. They'll tell you about the character. Whereas like I'm not gonna go up to your guy friends like, hey, what you think about him? They're like, that's my homie. Like they're not gonna say anything to add or take away. I feel like where the women, what?
Nothing. It's just funny. Like
Where the
I
women
could
might
see,
say something.
I could see, I could see JB being like, "Oh, he's kind and heartwarming," and it's like that's crazy. Like I just, you're right. Like that would never happen. But I could see like some of my friends, you know, off the top of my head. I mean, they can be like, "Oh, he's super loyal, respectful, like all this stuff like that." Like I feel like those are, if you were to ask what are some of the top adjectives about me, I feel like those would be the top ones that my friends would
Would
say.
say, yeah.
It would for sure be loyal, kind, authentic. Like it would be all of those, I feel like.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when we first started talking. I mean, it was an interesting story. If you haven't listened to it before, like I think we talked about episode like 1 or 2, was that when you were out, you were with your ex-girlfriend's sister.
Yeah.
And the other sister was my roommate. And so for me, I'm like, if you can still hang out with the family and this is your ex, then they must think very highly of you.
Yeah.
Like that was something that went through my head. But as I think through like how to be successful in a relationship when you have a partner who has a opposite sex friend, it's all about being very transparent from the get-go of like who that person is and what they mean to you and if there was a past relationship with them. Because if we're not telling all the information up front, that's when the insecurities start to like bubble up of like, oh, I'm finding out later of
Yeah.
who this person really means to you. Like,
Which I feel like that's worse. It's just like, I don't know, like I feel like you find that out. Like a crazy part is a big celebrity just found that out and like their whole life, their whole world just blew up and
the trust
they
is
just
gone.
went, they just went and ditched the relationship after what, like 8 years or something, like a long time.
Yeah.
So, which is,
How would you feel about that?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm different in a lot of respects because I am very secure and it goes back to what you see all the time on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, with the body count talk. There are so many dudes that can't handle their women being with other people in the past. They think like every woman is for the streets. And it's just like, I literally, again, I'm a comment creeper. So I'm like literally looking back and reading these comments. And it's just like, man, like you're preaching like divine masculinity, but like you're so fragile if you can't handle that.
Right.
And so if I obviously like met with that same situation today, I would probably just be like, oh, okay. Like
You would, yeah.
like I'm like what can I do about it, for one? And two, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because you can be transparent about it up front. It could blow everything up.
Right.
And you end up like Jimmy from Love is Blind.
Ooh.
Or
I
you
was-
could say later and like at the point of you just have so many years into the relationship and it's just like like bro, that was 13 years ago or
Right.
whatever. Like it's just like, okay, like it is what it is. Like nobody.
Well, let's get into Love is Blind. And so there's no spoiler alerts because when you're listening to this, it's been weeks past the reunion. But during our hiatus, we went into it. We binged it. You know, like we were all
We were doing our
about-
research.
Yeah, doing research for
Is
the
love
pod.
in fact blind? No.
It's not blind. It really isn't. And as you see, well, hopefully you guys have already watched it. So you guys are up to what we're about to talk about. But with Jimmy and Chelsea, I feel like they were the most like toxic couple. Ooh,
No, I think Clay.
maybe
no,
Clay.
No,
Clay.
Kenneth and Brittany. or
Oh,
whatever
that was
they-
bad.
That was
Here's the
toxic,
thing:
but-
the season before was so bad. I think they had one couple end up at the very end going to the altar, and they both said no. So this season is like they had to throw everything out there and give us what we wanted, and so it was good. But with Jimmy and Chelsea, you could just tell So Jimmy and Chelsea were one of the couples who went on this experiment where you are sitting in the pods, you are talking through the walls and getting to know each other. And there's been many couples who tell everything in the very beginning so they can be honest with each other and make sure that at the end of the pod experience, if they want to propose that person, then everything was told. Like, you know everything about me. There's some that tell a little bit, and then once they propose and get out into the real world, they'll start to share more about them. And so it's like, which side is better? Because I get both sides of, I wanted you to get to know me for who I am, but there's certain things I need to know up front. And there was one couple who talked about like having a child. And I think that was a really important information to know. And it really turned Jimmy, it seemed like, off. Like, that was so hard for him to process of like, this is going to be a serious commitment for me to now be a dad after I propose to you.
And also too, because Jimmy was is Jimmy 30?
He was like 28, 29.
So she was in her 30s. I believe she was 32. And I think he was late 20s.
Right.
And so, of course, that is a difference when it's like you're going into this situation trying to find love. And I was like, oh, so I got to be a stepdad now.
Right.
Like, that's a big, kind of red flag. But like, to get to the is love blind thing, one of the things that was talked about, like, you're not supposed to talk about looks. Like, you're just not. Like, you're supposed to talk about everything but looks. And they were like, oh, well, what do you look like? And then Chelsea
was
was like,
what do you look like? It was a conversation they were having, and she said that she had like a doppelganger, and that,
oh my God, yes.
And there, he was like, oh, who? Like, she's like, well, people say I look like this person, but I don't think I do. And she threw out the name Megan. Well, she acted like she didn't know the name. She was like Machine Gun Kelly's like girlfriend or something. And he was like,
she did. She was playing real coy.
And so
he
it
was
was like, right, you could tell like that seed was planted. He already had this idea of like what she looked like in his head, and from there, like he chose her over the other woman.
But the crazy part is she didn't look like her, but the girl that he was talking to before, Chelsea, looked more like Megan Fox than Chelsea did. So Chelsea we're not going to, just go look up Chelsea and what she looks like. But
There's
key point.
some similarities.
Okay. So someone said Chelsea does look like Megan Fox if you put her like face on. I forgot what they did. Did you put her face
she's
on
just a
another
different
body?
shape face that throws it off. And maybe it was a jawline.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, but they were having an argument, and Jimmy had a sexual past with one of his best friends. And, he told Chelsea about it. Mm-hmm. Chelsea met the friend. And
well, he told Chelsea about it off camera. That's the key part. So Chelsea met her, and there was two women, his two female friends. Met them, and she was excited about it. The energy seemed like really good. And then they just went up and down with like just insecurities, and it just felt like he could never be fully honest and transparent with her without hurting her feelings. She was just very sensitive about it, about everything. And it seemed like almost like to the point a little whiny. But they did share at the reunion. There was a lot of things we didn't see, a lot of reasons why she was feeling the way she was. But so off camera, he tells her, I was with one of them. But I let them know that like this wouldn't be something we talk about on camera. I don't want their business out there. And so in the middle of our argument, she was like, well, I just don't feel comfortable. You've been texting her all the time. And this is what happens when you tell people things out of order. It seems like when they met, she was good. And then once afterwards, she found out that they had been together and slept together. It seemed like her whole perception of who she was changed. And now the constant texting was like, that's inappropriate. And now, oh, I'm going to the bar. Well, who's going to be there? She's going to be there? Nope.
Yep.
And so it's the timing. And who knows if she would have known beforehand and then allowed herself to like meet her, like, okay, she's cool. But maybe finding out afterwards really threw off like just all the emotions she had. And it was like, now I feel like she could be a divide between
threat.
us. Yeah, a threat.
Yeah. And again, something like that, like you're coming into an experiment where you just met the person, you talked to them for a matter of weeks versus the person that you already knew, had a history with,
Right.
and so it does kind of, but if you go back to what Joy and Taylor said, that's good because even his friends on camera, remember they were like,
Oh, they were
"Oh, Jimmy used to do this, and we've been trying to we've been on him about doing XYZ, trying to be better and all that stuff like that." And he was just sitting there like they weren't like
They
quiet
were
boo-booing on
roasting
him,
yeah, but they
like,
were just
they
being
were being real.
real.
Yeah, they were just
Like,
like, "Yo, he should do this. He needs to work on this," and he was just like, "All right, thanks,
right?
friends."
But that just like at the point where it's like, okay, now this used to be someone you were with, like their opinions don't matter, or like you said, they just feel like a threat. And the way it all went down, he was pissed. And that was a divide for them after that. Like her throwing that information out on camera, he was like, yeah, no, you're not the one.
Right.
And then she would get drunk and angry and just say a lot of things that she didn't mean. And
Y'all got to stop getting drunk and just yelling whatever you want to say and then trying to apologize the next day. That's crazy. Like, handle it like an adult.
and she doubled down on it.
She did.
And he was like, okay, so this is what you're telling me right now. You think I don't love you. You think this. And she was like, yeah. And then when he came back, was like, okay.
But
All
he
of a
flipped
sudden,
it on
she
her,
like,
though. He said, "I'm leaving," and she's like, "Why would you leave?" And it's just like, okay,
she
like
played
you don't want to be
victim
with,
so
you don't
much.
want to be with them. Yeah, we can't play victim. But what the reason why we're talking about this and why it's important? Again, the theme of this episode is transparency.
And get a little closer.
The other, and the other theme is, communication to get a little closer. But I feel like we should, kind of help the people out in figuring out like their checklist, like you said, like you started with this with,
Yeah.
of, things to look for when dating. And I know my checklist is going to be different because I'm going to speak from the point in life I am and my peers are in. So the ones that I would tell my friend, for example,
Okay.
we had a conversation with, she was telling me about a guy she was, I don't know if you would call it dating. They just met, but they were talking in the talking stage. But I was like, well, does he have a 401k?
Ooh.
She said no. And I was like, well, he's probably too young for you then. And like, again, I said that because I knew how old he was. So like, just want to caveat by that. I know not everybody has a 401k. Not everybody, are afforded those benefits. But again, I'm speaking about the stage that she is in, the stage that my peer group is in.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a 401k, but you have to have some sort of savings plan.
I guess I would go. So you went like deep. I want to go a little bit more high in general when it comes to the finances. I would just say someone who's financially independent, savvy. That is key because how you handle your money is really it's a telltale sign of how you are in life. I think that when you aren't someone who saves, when you aren't someone who thinks about who spends very like above your means, it shows how you move in life. And so it's like you're not thinking about the future, you're not stable, you are someone who's a little bit unpredictable. I think there's certain characteristics that go with someone who's not financially savvy. And at a point in our life, I feel like we know that we've got goals for the future. And so we got to be on it because I'm a spender. I'm a spender, but I'm a worker as well.
She a spender.
I am. I'm a big spender, and I'm trying to get better at it. But I do save.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel?
You save. Like, what can I say? Like, you save and you have a husband that saves for you. So, like, it works. But for y'all, okay, so, like, I want to be empathetic because, again, I got laid off. I lost my job. I am in a blessed position to be able to be self-employed and still, even though it's like barely what I was making before, but like I've still been able to like pay bills with my self-employment, social media stuff. So I get it. But to your point, I think it's just the wherewithal to save, because not everybody can save. Not everybody's in a position to save.
Yeah.
For a lot of my life growing up, we were not in a position to save. It was paycheck to paycheck type thing. Wasn't much left over for anything else. But with that being said, like, don't disregard the person because of that. But interestingly enough, spending, I think, is the more interesting barometer. And what I'm saying, this is not shade to you. I'm saying like if that person's spending is like way beyond what their means are.
Yeah.
Like if you're making X amount, let's just say you're making 50K, but you're spending 70, like that's a problem. If you're making 60K and spending, 50K, like understandable. But if you're spending that on like J's and stuff and like stuff for your car, like nah, bro. But like
Yeah.
you got to be the
Never thought about that
essentials. So like y'all got to look at it from that standpoint, like how they are with money, because once you have two accounts, like the recklessness is only gonna go up from there. It's just like, oh nah, like
This is our money.
she or he is going to get paid, this 2 weeks, so I can buy this and we still gonna have the bills paid and all that stuff like that. So
I think that's also something too. Like, for us, it's like, okay, the accounts are now joint. Now I'm on your Amazon account because like you're the one that had Amazon and Prime and everything. So you're now seeing the frequency. Whereas before it was like, okay, she have a bag from Target. She might have a bag
I
from
see the
Nordstrom.
frequency when the stuff shows up anyway.
No, but when you see the number, I think it's different when it comes with just the bag coming through the door, And so I definitely am going to shop more than you will. But I think that's also just different upbringings of, I tend to, you're more frugal in a
I
sense.
got it out the mud.
Yeah. And I'm not. And so spending is something I'm working on, but financial stability, independence, that is key. I would say like my next one on my checklist is like accountability.
Yeah.
Someone who self-awareness. I think those two kind of go hand in hand. Someone who is aware of their flaws or who's just totally in sync with who they are and can find themselves in a moment of being like, I don't like where I'm going in this situation, or I don't like this personality trait of mine. I'm trying to fix it. Like just being aware. And if I can call you out on something and you can take accountability and say, yeah, this is something that I don't like about myself and I'm fixing.
See, mine would be actually, I mean, it's sort of along those lines, but mine would be drive. Ooh. Like if you're just complacent, then you're like, y'all think about that. Like if they're complacent, that means they're comfortable. They don't want to go anywhere. And like, I understand that there are different seasons. I understand that, when you're dating, again, some may want to just like they're good and like where they are.
Yeah.
And some want to grind. It's sometimes hard to have two people that want to do the same thing. It's also hard having two opposites. But the one thing I would say is that if that person doesn't want better for themselves in any regards, like that's a key red flag, because whether it be you want to be healthier, whether it be, I can do it myself.
But that's it. Like you said, the drive. I think when we think drive, we think of they're ambitious and entrepreneurial like.
No, it has nothing to do
but I'm
with
just
that.
saying, like when I first think of drive, I think of like they're gonna go get it, they're gonna get all the money, they're gonna have jobs. But drive is also about yourself, like health wise. It's a drive just to
health.
be better in life.
Yes,
so
it's health, it's wealth, it's anything you want it to be. If you want
Right.
if you want to lose weight, cool. That having the drive to go, have the discipline to go do what you need to do.
Right.
If you want to make more money, have the drive to get a second job or a side hustle or a higher paying initial job. If you want drive, I mean, if you are driven to like be a present father or a present mother, showing up for your kids time and time
Yeah.
again, but not just on your phone or a device, like having technology free time, engaging with them and all that. Like there's a lot of people who just want to be comfortable, and that's fine, you know, and that's fine for those who want that. But again, drive, and that's a great distinction that you said, like with the entrepreneurial stuff, because it doesn't need to be
Yeah.
any of that. It just
wanna
wants
be
to be
a better
better.
person.
Yeah, better person with any
every-
aspect of your life.
Let's go. Okay, mine. I'm trying to find the best way to say it without it being so simple. Is like fun.
Girl, that's simple.
Someone who likes to have fun. I just feel like having a certain joy for life, having a certain like you got the humor side. Like you made me laugh. You're funny, and so like being able to have those small moments where we don't have to do all the things, but like we could just be with each other and have a good time. Whether it's watching a show and all your commentary, like you gonna make me laugh. You're gonna just make me be in that moment.
That's hate. You guys see that? All your commentary. She's trying to speak to me through the pod. Like she hates every time. But there are certain shows that we'll be watching, and there's certain scenes that get
tell
on
me
my
about it,
nerves.
y'all.
Like I can't stand. Like
I'll talk through the whole episode.
for example,
whole movie.
we watch SWAT on CBS with Shamar Moore, and I'm just like, it pisses me off every time that they get like, this is in LA, and they be getting to these calls in like 10 minutes.
it's a
and I'm
TV
like,
show.
regardless if they have sirens on their car, how are they getting from downtown all the way to Rancho Cucamonga in 10 minutes? Like, I don't
You're
get
such
it.
a realist.
I'm
though.
so it like it
Like I'm
irritates
like they
the
only got
mess out of me.
45 minutes to do this whole show. Okay, they got to get there in 2 seconds. But no, I just feel like it's a certain love for life, and I think the kids also feel it too. Like just being silly and having a good time. Like they're just always smiling, and it's because our ability to create this environment of
It's a happy place. It's a joyous place.
yes.
Yeah, we
And-
lead with joy.
We do. And I feel like you don't find that. Some people maybe are just always so serious. And we got to be able to get the jokes off. We got to be able to just laugh at some things. Roma has taught me how to laugh in like serious moments. Sometimes things can be so bad that it's just hilarious. And I'm like over here maybe wanting to cry, and he's like laughing. And I'm like, what is so funny? And you
It's
just have
well, for one, that's a nasty coping mechanism, and I recognize that.
Yeah.
But like, it's more so like we have a argument or something like that, and then like my kind of end of the argument statement is a joke.
Always a
It's
joke.
funny. Like, of course, we're not over here laughing about like really serious stuff or anything like that. But like, the one thing I can say is, I think I always said, I'm just like, I always tell her, I was like, you need to laugh more. I was like, stop being so serious all the time, because she'll be like,
Because I don't laugh the way you want me to laugh. You want to
and
be
I'm
like,
always, but see, I'm always like,
But you-
the crazy part, I actually don't need you or anyone else to laugh. I'm just like, if I think something's funny, I'm gonna laugh, and like,
He's gonna look
it's
over.
funny to me, and it's fine, because like I sometimes be sitting there cracking up laughing, and I'm just like, I don't need it to be funny to you, especially if it's funny to me. Like, I got everything I needed from it. So the shade.
the irony that I'm the one saying fun.
Okay, Miss Rude.
Okay.
I think mine other
Last one.
one. Yeah, my last one. So again, to sum it up, I said drive, and then I said, what was my first one again?
Financial. Well, you said
It was like
you said they have to have a 401k. So we kind
yeah.
of came together with like financial independence.
yeah, financial literacy.
Yeah, literacy,
independence,
exactly.
Whatever, drive.
I said accountability / like self-awareness of who they are.
The last one I would say for y'all is to, yeah, that's I don't want to say communication, because that's lame. But again, like, you have to have someone that like talks. Like, you can't have someone shut down. And like, I feel like that's so important, because like the older you get, you shouldn't be harboring your feelings. You should be talking about them. And if you're in a position where you can't share your feelings, you can't receive feelings.
Yeah.
You can't yeah, like that's just a bad situation. We I feel like we see that so much. Like a podcast just ended based off they were in the same room and couldn't talk and wouldn't talk, and it's just like,
This is, should we say the podcast name?
no.
Okay.
But I'm just saying,
Listen, no, we ain't getting into that.
Yeah.
No, but it is true when it comes to that. Like, well, I think it's also like having someone that you feel comfortable with, of being able to be authentic. So like, I guess that's one of mine, being able to be authentic around that person. Like, you don't have to put up any front. You don't have to smile all the time. You don't there's just, they see you at your worst. They see you at your best. They accept all of it. And so being able to be your authentic self also allows you to tap into all the other things. But when there's not a level of like trust and comfort, then I can't tell you and communicate with you of the things I'm going through, the things I might be feeling that are off in the relationship. And so when that happens, then you see people start to internalize things, and it builds up and builds up, because what I think is just something that happened today, you've been harboring for like months or years. I saw this I saw this video on Instagram where a woman was talking about, she had been married for 8 years, and one day found out that her husband had a mistress that was like 10 years younger than him. And then he left her and the two girls the next day. And that she was just
left
so,
as in like died, or left as in went to
no,
the
he left
mistress?
the relationship and moved in with this other woman. And the comments were so nasty. And they were saying like, well, what did you do? Well, you did something wrong. You held out from sex. You must have been a prude. You must have been disrespectful. Like,
I mean,
all
let's be
these
real.
things.
There was something she did,
But here's the
but-
thing. She responded back was, I didn't see it coming. And they said, you have to have seen the signs. And they said that he dated me this whole time. He smiled. He told me he loved me. We went out on dates. We hung out with friends. He never let on. He led 2 lives and made me feel like our relationship was perfect. And it made me think about this part of, there was something he couldn't communicate what he was missing in the relationship. So yes, she probably did something, but he never felt like he could tell her. And so instead of marrying up and sharing what he felt was missing and being able to talk through it and correct it, he went elsewhere to find it. And so when you don't have that comfort where I can tell you anything, then you might be searching somewhere else for it.
Right. And let me say, and I've said this before, again, I'm not saying that every single time someone is cheated on, it's both people's fault. But I am going to say that there are things that happen on both sides that lead to it. Yeah. That's it. And so, again, like you said, maybe there was something that she wasn't doing and he couldn't communicate. She's not totally at fault for that. Yeah. Because maybe it was something, again, we don't know enough about it, but maybe it was something she did before and then stopped. Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows? But I thought that, like, when it goes back to how we say, like, the comments, like, Instagram and social media in itself is a place right now where we're all sharing our lives, and it's giving people the freedom to say whatever they want and in response to that. And some people, you're seeing who they are, you're seeing these different opinions, and I'm just like, wow, this is wild to come on this woman's page and say all of these things that
clown stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would never do. Like, you can watch it and like have your own thought, but then like just to start commenting and like acting like you know her more than you do was just something I've seen more and more of lately.
There's just a lot of hurt people out there who are trying to hurt people. And again, the nasty part is, like, it's always the most miserable people that are trying. It's most miserable people and the people who are trying to be funny.
Right.
Are literally just trying to blow it up for everybody. But
all right,
either way,
we gonna bring this.
Y'all got six things to look for on the next time you swipe right, or on the next time you are talking to somebody.
And if you're watching on YouTube, which you should, RL Pod, comment below on what's your checklist. Like, we didn't even get like really into the weeds with it, But let me know what your top like 5 or 6 things on your checklist when you are dating or that you have in your partner that you would never want to give up. Like that makes them who they are and is why you chose them.
Yes. But make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow us, follow the pod, follow our journey.
Yes.
And
We'll be
make
back.
sure you go back and watch the old episodes so y'all can be ready for this next fire that's about to drop after this. Because we coming back with some more clips and a conversation that Felicia's going to try to pin me in a corner for. So, teaser.
I'm like, wait, what conversation?
LeBron James.
Oh, that one.
LeBron James. LeBron James. All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Bye.